Hey guys, welcome back to 5-9 Gaming. My name is Troko, and today we're going to be talking about the Village of Shadows difficulty. If you played Resident Evil 7, it's basically the Madhouse version for this game. Now, the first thing to know is this mode is incredibly unbalanced. Now, what do I mean by this? The New Game Plus weapons make this mode even easier than Hardcore, but without them, this mode is pretty much unbearable. Basically, any New Game Plus weapon aside from infinite ammo on the base game weapons, like your starting pistol and starting shotgun, will make the game mode a joke. Whereas infinite ammo for the grenade launcher or the magnum or anything like that make the game way too broken, not even including just New Game Plus exclusive weapons. Now, that's not really an issue because most people playing this will be doing it once just for the achievement, so I'm kind of here to help give you guys a quick guide through this mode. Now, I do not recommend ever doing this game mode until you've beaten the game a couple times. One, just to learn how the game works, and two, to buy New Game Plus weapons. Some of you probably did buy the special edition, which will have the difficulty unlocked from minute 1, but I don't recommend just hopping in. You will not have a fun time. So first, let's hop into the bonus shop. First, I recommend buying Chris's assault rifle. It's the Dragoon, as well as the infinite ammo for it. If you can, also pick up the infinite ammo for the M1897. This will help a ton in the beginning Lycan encounter. I also recommend picking up infinite ammo for the grenade launcher if you can afford it, as well as if you do start a new game on your completed save file, your inventory will carry over. This can be useful by giving you additional healing items, as well as a grenade launcher from minute 1. However, even if you don't, the beginning section, which is pretty much the hardest section in the game, is still fairly doable even if you only have the infinite ammo for the M1897. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you do need to max the weapon in order to purchase infinite ammo for it. So if you're still in your first playthrough, I'd max at the beginning shotgun if you can. So to recap, I recommend going with the Dragoon, infinite ammo rocket launcher, as well as meds carried over from your previous save file, but for the sake of this guide, I will be covering it as if you only have New Game Plus items that you purchase in the shop and nothing carried over from your last save file, as that's what I did. So let's actually talk about the game mode. How hard is it and what does it actually change? Well, 99% of attacks will put you in critical even if you're blocking. Just like Madhouse, there are some enemy placement differences as well, some extra enemies in a room, or super Lycans will appear much earlier. Enemies are also much faster and much more aggressive. The Lycans are super dangerous to deal with as they will run up to you as fast as they can, so you gotta be careful of that. But with all the setup out of the way, let's get into the actual game. So the first section, as mentioned above, is very difficult, and because you'll have limited healing items, any hit is pretty much a one-shot. So the first Lycan encounter can be dealt with by not dealing with him at all. Once he lunges at you once, so just sidestep and go into the house and grab the bolt cutters. As soon as you do, he'll go off and do whatever. Now, the Lycan in the barn is the first major threat, but as long as you max out the beginning pistol in your first run, you should have been able to buy infinite ammo for it, which I do recommend. It's fairly cheap to max it in your first run, so I do recommend doing that. Anyways, just kite the Lycan around and keep blocking if he gets close. As long as you win this, it'll be a checkpoint. He does take a lot of shots, but as long as you have the infinite ammo is not a concern. But before you start that encounter, I do recommend grabbing the herb and the chem food in the building in the first area you're part of where the first Lycan attacked you. You guys will see on screen what I'm talking about. And now we're on to surviving the actual wave of Lycans. As soon as you can, run to the shotgun house and block the door. Grab the shotgun and use the infinite ammo to defend the shelf. I was able to solve most of the encounter by doing this strat. When they do break in, do the same strat in the barn with the ladder, and if that falls as well, head back to the beginning barn and just hold out there. By now the encounter should hopefully be over. Now we just run to the shack by Louise's house. Again, even though the enemies are faster and much more aggressive, you can block and kind of hold them off for a bit, but as long as you activate the door, you'll activate the cutscene, and the enemies will stop chasing you. Complete the rest of the house like normal until you can get the 2 medallions and get into the castle, play through the Heisenberg death game, and escape to Duke to begin the easy part of the game. Once you buy the Dragoon from him, the game is fairly easy. You can still die in one shot, but with the Dragoon, keeping distance is easy enough, and most enemies die fairly fast to it. Once we're in the castle, we gotta meet the sisters, escape the chains, and start robbing them for their masks. Since this should be your second or third playthrough, getting to the castle is fast and easy. Get the maroon eye, open the doors, escape the sister, go through the dungeon, kill the enemies for healing items if you want, can't hurt to have more. And now we have the first boss. Keep your distance as best as you can and block everything. This is a close quarters fight, so you can die pretty fast, but a couple clips into her and she'll go down. Now we grab the wine that probably can't be found in stores and complete the puzzle with it. Run past the sister in the main area and head to the courtyard, complete it like you normally would. Do the wine statue puzzle, farm supplies, and grab the key from Lady D. Now this is where some changes come into play. The chase sequence with Lady Dimitrescu has an enemy in this hallway. It'll likely grab you since you can't block. Just try your best not to get grabbed more than once and go grab your first mask. Now that we have the key, we can do the piano puzzle and start the next sister fight. This one is super easy. She runs around when the skylight is open, giving you a lot of opportunities to attack as well as a long distance to shoot from. Now onto the roof, we have these bat things to deal with. Pick them off as fast as you can as their attacks will do a ton of damage, so block and shoot. Once you're done on the roof, we can start the final sister fight. Head back to the Maroon Eye door, head to the boss arena, move the shelf, and blow up a hole in the wall. This is another close quarters fight, but you have a bit more cover than last time. As usual, just keep shooting and blocking until she stops being relevant in the story. After that, we have our first major boss fight, and it's pretty easy. Now for this fight, again, assuming you have the Dragoon with infinite ammo, which again, I recommend only doing the challenge if you have this weapon, just keep shooting her from a distance. She really can't do much, and when the bugs attack, just go into one of the areas right here and block. It's not a hard phase 1. Now in phase 2, we're a lot closer to her than we'd want to be, so it can be a bit tricky. She can easily kill you now that you're face to face, so make as much distance as possible and keep shooting. She doesn't have a ton of HP in this phase, so it's not too bad to deal with. Pretty much just keep shooting, and eventually she'll stop moving. Once Lady Dimitrescu is dealt with, now we head back into the village. We have to head to the same house like we would normally, but there's another change here. Instead of just one Super Lycan, there is now 2. But like normal, we can avoid most enemies. Even though they're faster and more aggressive, they still back off when we get under the tractor or onto the ladder. Once you're inside the house, just break and enter like normal and steal his key. Once all that is done, we're on to the second area of the game. Nothing changed here on the harder difficulty, just stronger enemies when coming back, so let's move on to the Morrow section. The Primal Lycan is faster and stronger, but you can still slip by it fairly easily. Run through the houses like you normally would, but this time looting if you didn't get a chance during the B&E encounter. You might have missed a couple chem fluids or herbs here, so it's helpful to grab those. Once you're done all that, just run to the breakable goo like normal, and now we head underground. The underground now has a Super Lycan, but we can still just grab the key and go to the boat and dip out of here. Nothing about the chase has changed either, or even the puzzle, so just complete it like you would normally. Once you're done that, drain the water, and now we're on to the fight. Morrow pretty much has infinite HP, so you'll be here for a bit. It's pretty annoying. But it is the same strat as normal, though he's just a bit faster and stronger. But because you have infinite ammo, just shoot any part of him, but aim for the weak point when it is showing. After firing enough bullets to make a minigun feel inadequate, he'll finally be dead. Grab the key and make your way towards the Lycan lair. This part sucks. There's enough enemies to make a small army and they all rush you. I recommend rushing to the levers as fast as you can, making use of the grenade launcher if you grabbed it on your way back, as well as the exploding barrels. Try to avoid combat as much as you can since they'll put you into critical very fast. Once you're done out there, we're into the main part of the lair. You'll have multiple Super Lycans to deal with at the top and a swarm before that. Rush to the zipline and make your way up. Use any grenades if you have them, because this part is very difficult with just the rifle. You'll have to constantly be reloading and backing up down the path to keep some distance. Try flash grenades if you can and book it for the door. Now we're onto the big fella. He's not too bad to deal with. This area has a decent amount of space to move around in, so take advantage of that. He has a ton of HPs and Lycans will come in randomly, so be careful of them. But aside from more HP and attack, it's the same as before. Just keep shooting until he stops being alive. Onto the factory section, and there are a few changes. The first one is during the chase sequence, there's an extra enemy in the hallway. Aside from that, I personally can't recall much that's different. Factory is easy enough to run through while avoiding enemies, so that's what I did. Difficulty doesn't really matter if the enemies can't even hit you. Smelt all the molds like normal, restore power, shoot the fans, and begin another running sequence. Just run as fast as you can to the forge while dodging the armored lads. Carry the big guy and run past him. Now we're on to the boss. Storm is much more aggressive and can kill you in the blink of an eye. Flash grenades will be your best friend. When he's hit by one, he'll run off into a wall and stun himself. Take advantage of this by firing an entire clip into him every time. This fight shouldn't take too long, just be careful of the fire. Now on to Heisenberg, not much has changed. It's just the amount of times you have to shoot the weak spots, but he will rush close to you, so keep shooting the weak spots as well as using the rocket launcher to create distance between yourselves. I believe I had to shoot his weak spots about 6 to 7 times each to have him finally stop, but it's still doable. Again, if he gets close, just use the rocket launcher and it'll create a lot of distance between you. Not too difficult, but it can be kind of tedious. Phase 2 can be taken down pretty fast. The Dragoon is a very, very overpowered weapon with a lot of ammo and a lot of firepower, so just keep shooting him and eventually he'll stop moving. Chris' section is about the same as it was normally, just more enemies when they do appear. The Primal Beast is super fast, so you might want to take a hit if you try to run past like I did, so I don't recommend that. Maybe pick one off or block, whatever you have to do to get past them. This hallway type road is very dangerous. I recommend using a couple grenades when they group up and block any attacks you receive. Chris can take a beating, so you won't drop to critical too fast. The laser pointer bomb section is about what you would expect. More enemies and stronger enemies. Take out the weaker Lycans and move around aiming to make quick work of this area. The biggest fella is waiting below, but he's just a super version of the regular version. Just like the other difficulty, smite him with the Wrath of God and keep shooting his weak spot when it's available. It takes a while, but eventually it will go down. And now we're at the final boss. Miranda is super aggressive and insanely fast. Make sure to buy any healing items you can from Duke, as well as craft any you can. I went in with about 7 to 8 and I used most of them. Any attack from her is pretty much putting you in critical, even if you block. But like usual, keep firing until you enter the quick time event like thing. Use the Dragoon and you'll be fine. And that's pretty much what to expect from Village of Shadows. Overall, I do like the difficulty option, but I noticed it didn't change as much as Madhouse did, so I'm a bit disappointed in that. Once you're done with Village of Shadows, let us know what you thought of it compared to Madhouse or Inferno, as well as don't forget to like and subscribe. But with all that out of the way, thanks for watching, have a good day.